What's up, fellow Sambarians? Sorry. As you can see behind me, it's bright. The sun is finally decided to stick around Washington, at least for a while. So, perfect weather to start doing work to the old K cars. So, obviously I got my KS4 here, K10, very low kilometers, but with anything that's old, seals and stuff start to wear out and leak. So she has the left axle seal, transaxle seal is leaking. So I'm gonna do both the axle seals. I think I'm gonna do both. I don't know, we'll see. But I gotta replace the one axle seal for sure. And I'll show you guys how to change the axle seal, because I'm going to stock axle seals in the parts store. The left and the right side are different seals. So I'm gonna have both seals. Let's do some axle seals. So I'm gonna jack it up and take the wheels off, and we'll start taking stuff off to get the drive CV axles pulled out. Okay, so just to show you what I'm looking at, there you can see we have some wetness forming underneath that CV axle, so that's the seal we're gonna replace. And then obviously we'll do a fluid change. So if you're in the market of doing fluid change or seals or CV axle removals for boots, well, this video should be helpful. Dang, look at that squid pipe. Okay, so first we're gonna start by taking stuff off. Obviously the wheel. I got a jack stand underneath the control arm to put a little pressure on the control arm so I can unbolt the strut or the dampener, and then drop down the control arm so we can pull the lowering spring out. 17 mil up top. Freaking giant squid pipe in the way. God dang it. Alright. Lower shock, and this is a good time to check your shocks and see if they're working. Yeah, they're working real well. That's good. So if your rear dampeners, shocks, whatever the heck you want to politically correct call these, if they're blown, they'd be leaking oil, and if they were bad, it would be pretty difficult to separate these. Safe to say, these are working. So cool. So that's out of the way. Now, what we'll do is I'll jack up the back, and then that way we can get the old springy dingy out of there. Okay, so we should have optimal droopies for this guy. And so what you can do, these are lowering springs. I think you could probably do these with regular springs. Turn them. And then you should, if you turn them, you get past the low point here, get to this upper section, and it gives you that much room to pull them out. So I got the Gretties. I'm happy with them. I could go lower, but Gretties work. Now, that feels like, oh, we pulled it out. Oh gosh. There we go. It was drooped too low, so it kind of popped it out of its happy spot. So we're good. That's the thing you just got to be worried about when you're pressing down on these, is making sure you don't bust your CV axle trying to pry it out. Okay, so now brainstorm. Okay, so depending on your model Sambar, you're either gonna have the pressure or whatever, the pressure friction ring, I don't know what that gets called, C-clip, or the pressure ring, blah blah blah, right there in your CV axle somewhere that you would pop out to get off of the transmission splines, the shaft, whatever. I think that's more of the earlier years, like 90, 91, something like that. But this one's a 95, so this one just requires good old yanking with the slide hammer. So I was just double checking. There's no pins on this one to knock out, so it's gonna be a matter of just whacking it. I mean, hitting it with a slide hammer and pulling it out. So I'm gonna go get that. All right, trusty slide hammer. And I think this is a OTC 7507. This is the type of claw, whatever, and with just some normal slide hammer. So we're gonna attempt to pop it off the transmission. And it's always fun because it's very difficult. Got it. Okay. Popped her off. So, actually, man, that wasn't too bad. Good old slime hammer. Good old slide hammer and some brute strength. We'll pop it off. Now we have access to the seal. So you know what? I'm not gonna change these boots. These boots are fine. And it really isn't that bad of a job to change the boots. I got other things to work on, and I should save them for when I actually need the boots. But there, it's all pretty wet, so we'll pull that seal out and put a new one in. Okay, so I've cleaned up the seal area pretty good. So now we're going to attempt to pull that seal out now. Okay, so when you start getting to the seal, you're gonna have, I think it's like a dust cover. It's like this little flying saucer here. That's gonna be on the outside of the seal first. So you're gonna need to pull that out and slip it past the ring, the little pressure ring, compression ring, whatever this thing is. And now we have direct access to the seal. So I think we're gonna do the old screw in the seal trick and pull the seal out. Okay, we're gonna carefully, I'm going to carefully drill a little hole in the seal, and then I can put a screw in, thread a screw in it, and then pluck the old seal out. Wish me luck. There we go, and we're leaking gear oil, so she's full of oil, which probably should have drained it ahead of time, but whatever. Actually, it's good I left the oil in there, because if anything went inside when I put that drill through, then it should come out with the oil after we drain it. So drop the oil after you do this, so that anything that falls in will flush out. Okay, I'm gonna go get a screw now, and we'll thread a screw in and pull it out. Okay, I'm gonna try a different approach here. Since I drilled a hole in it, I can get a hooped pick in there, and it's in the hole right now, so I'm just gonna work on yanking it out that way. it's very snug, so it's gonna take a minute for me to pull that thing out. All right, that did the old trick. I got that hooped in through the hole that I drilled, wherever that is, right there. I got this in the seal, and then I got this at this end right here. Put this end on the end of the shaft, and then just, you know, pried, and it pulled it right out. So now I'm dumping all my gear oil. I wasn't ready for that much to come out, but that's the trick. Drill a hole in it, get a little pick hook in there, and then use something like some pliers and just pry it out. And there is the old seal, and there's some rusty spot in there, and obviously it's very hard, so I'm sure that was the culprit to the leakage. But there you can see the hole I drilled. All right, so I'm gonna let that drain, and I'll get ready to put the new seal in. Okay, so while I'm letting that drain, I did a little look-in on the old shaft, the old seal, and the new seal, so I just wanted to point this out. So here's the old seal. Now, if you notice on the old seal, let's see if you can see it. There's an arrow right there, okay? So this, I'm guessing there's a symbol right by the arrow, and that's maybe like an L or left. They're both NOK seals. Okay, never mind. It says L in front of the arrow. There you go. So left hand side. So I just wanted to make sure the seal that I bought from Japan is for sure the right seal. It has the same number on it, which is AH1513. One says G and one says K. Not entirely sure what that's about, but they're both, one's got the part number stamped on it, the new one 806727180. I believe that's the part number. And then this one also, the new one, has a smaller, can't really see it there at the top, it's an L with an arrow. So you just make sure you get a left direction. I'm guessing it's the little swirlies in there, so it spins the correct direction in the seal. I don't know if I've ever done axle seals before, so I've usually just done like a crank or front main seal or rear main seal, stuff like that. So that's just, you know, it is what it is. But obviously transmissions are directional, so again, just make sure that it's a left, which if you buy them from my part store, then you'll for sure get the right part. So I'm gonna let that drain for a little bit, and then we're gonna pop the new one in. This is a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. Super easy job. I probably just jinxed myself. But then when you put that seal in, that's when you'll, I don't know. So that thing goes like that. So this like dust seal goes like that. So I think it goes like that. Yeah, because it was facing out like that. The lip was out. So I'm gonna put it back in there like that. It's obviously like a dust cover. I'm guessing it's the dust cover. Shoot, I don't know, but it's really bizarre because if we do a parts diagram, that does not show up. So I'm not entirely sure if it was part of the CV axle or part of the transmission. I mean, it's not part of the CV axle, so it's got to be part of the transmission, but it's not showing up in any of the parts diagrams. And there's no part number on this, obviously. But we'll put it back on there because it came off. It's obviously just gonna sit where it sits, and then hopefully that acts like a dust cover. Okay, so now we're going to push in the new seal. So I got some engine assembly grease, white grease. We'll be sure to put that on the seal, so when we slip onto that shaft, nothing snags or gets ripped or anything. And then what I found was a 1 1/8 inch socket is what we're going to use to tap it in with my long extension. I think we can get a good hammer on that and knock that thing in. So I'm going to go ahead and put some white grease on this thing, really lube it up. Put some on the outside a little bit just to help it go in easier. So we'll slide this in over the shaft there, the spline shaft being careful. And I cleaned that also very well inside there too with some brake cleaner. Make sure you get it nice and clean. We don't want to put any dirt back in there. Now let's go ahead and start tapping it in. This, you want to try to just make sure you tap everything evenly. My phone's gonna die, so I'm just tapping it in a little bit at a time, just making sure we don't go too far and keeping it flush. Okay, new seal's tapped in. Basically, if you take a 1 1/8 socket like this size, I don't, it's normal, it's not deep, plus this seal, it just about puts it in at a good location. But then I went around with a small 1/4 inch extension and just kind of lightly tapped it all the way around. So I'm basically flush with the seal and that lip, that inner lip there. I took a pick, and it's hard to get depth perception on it looking at it, but if you take a pick and put it next to the edge of the seal, you can get an idea of where that seal's sitting at. So that's all in there. Okay, I got the shaft back on, that CV axle. I actually used the slide hammer, like reverse. Knocked it back in. It's kind of, I mean, you could push on it. I'm very light, so I don't have much body weight to push on it. But put the slide hammer back on it, slid it down, popped it all back into place. So that seal's done. Make sure everything's super clean, because when you put it all together and put fluid in it, then you can drive it around and make sure that it has a good seal, obviously. But this is the stuff I'm gonna put in the transmission. Prolong, it's good for manual transmission, all that stuff. And then I have, let's see, I'll show you guys. This is the oil I'm gonna use. AMSOIL GL4 for the transmission. GL5 is okay for the front, GL4 only in the back. So I'm gonna pour this in the back, but first I'm gonna do the other side. I'm not gonna show that because it's the same as the left side. It's just the opposite side, obviously. And about 3 of these, almost, not really 3, but almost 3. And yeah, that's pretty much how you change the seal on your transmission. Hopefully I did it right. Thanks for watching, guys. If I got a leak, I'll do an update and we'll figure out what went wrong. But so far everything went smooth, and hopefully that was helpful. Cool. Take it easy, guys.